Ruth Anderson here for Focus on Lightworkers. Today we have Gretchen Comer with us. She has devoted 29 years of her life to help others in their spiritual journey. She's the co-owner of Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services. She's a holistic coach and an energy healer. We're going to hear more about that. But she is a co-host with one of Enlightened World Network's shows called Soul Awakenings. It's on Sundays here on EWN at noon Eastern Time. Co-host with Doctors Jane and Philllip Mountrose. Gretchen, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
So first of all, tell us about the Sunday shows with Jane and Philllip.
Sure. The Soul Awakening show is a wonderful thing to be part of. I have had so much fun with this. It's an hour-long show, usually, that's dedicated to just spreading more love in the world, bringing more of that energy and helping souls to awaken on their paths. And we usually do something like a meditation, guided meditation. More recently, Jane and I have been visiting the Akashic Records together and bringing forth some messages for the collective. And we also usually do an oracle reading for the collective. And sometimes if we have time, we'll do readings for individuals who are tuning in at that time. So it's a lot of fun. It's very uplifting. It's always very positive, and it gives you some just really good guidance for the day. It's a great way to kind of spend an hour on Sunday. And of course, you can always check it out afterwards if the time doesn't work for you. So we have a lot of fun doing it, though. I always look forward to it.
Thank you. Were you one of Jane and Philip's students?
I took the holistic coaching and energy healing training from them. I've also taken the different levels of EFT with them as well. And I started back in 2004 with Awakenings Institute, which is their institute. And it's just been a wonderful journey. So, you know, a lot has changed. Everything is a lot more digitized, but I got so much out of their live online groups. So we have classes online where you can really interact in real time with other people. And it's such a nurturing environment to learn in, and they're fabulous teachers. So I'm a huge fan.
Right. So you have been putting yourself out there to assist others for 30 years, which means you
Yes.
already had all of this wisdom and knowledge years before the 30 started. What was it like growing up, Gretchen? Was spirituality an important part of your childhood, or when did that kind of kick in for you?
It was, I think my first realization of something larger than myself was when I was a small child. I was raised Catholic. And so when we would be in mass, you know, as a child for the Catholic service on Sunday, I really didn't have a lot of understanding of what they were saying up on the pulpit, but I would always be looking around at all these beautiful stained glass windows and, you know, depictions of saints and of course of Jesus and Joseph and angels. And the ceiling of the church that I went to as a child was also painted much like, you know, Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. And one of the first things that always my eyes would go to was the depiction or statue of Mary, of Mother Mary. And to me, she really is the first divine feminine being that I connected with. I think even as a very small child, my eyes would always go to her. And so I think that started a lifelong love for just getting closer to source, drawing closer to the divine feminine in me. And now I help other women really touch upon the divine feminine in them. And I feel like that softness, that gentleness that the divine feminine brings to this world is so needed right now. And I'm finding that women are really drawn to that work too. They want to be closer and be more in alignment with that energy. And so it's been a beautiful journey of more spirituality than religion per se. And I kind of grew out of Catholicism at one point and started really just trying other churches, just trying to see, you know, where my path was leading me. And now I just feel very close to God's source. I feel close and help other people draw closer to that connection and to find the divinity in them and realize just how magnificent we each are, because we all are, you know, in as individuals. And each of us have something to bring to this world and to shine our light to. So it brings me a lot of joy to help other people with this as well, and coach people spiritually and work with them in this way. So for me, it's been a long, eclectic journey, but it's also gotten me to where I am today. So I'm eternally grateful for that, the roots that I had as a child and where it's led me today. And of course, I still have a very strong connection to Mother Mary. To me, she is the first goddess that I was ever connected to. So, yeah.
So, as a light worker and just as a spiritual being, how do you feed yourself and keep yourself current with spirit?
Sure. I think one of the easiest ways and one of the most connecting ways for me is to go outdoors. I have such a strong connection with nature, and I also encourage other people to do that as well. And I feel like that is the one place where I can really sense spirit. I can really sense goddess, God, source. And to me, it's one of the places that it's like a ginormous gift to us to be able to go outdoors and to experience a very true and authentic sense, I think, of God in that way. And for me, it nourishes me because it helps me de-stress, it helps me decompress at the end of my day. It's a way for me to you could say to pray. Taking a walk in nature for me is a wonderful contemplative thing that I find a lot of solace in when I'm walking and just enjoying all of that beauty and the world that is around us, that is so much more to the macrocosm and microcosm than what we're used to. There's a whole world under our feet when we're walking through the woods that we don't ever really acknowledge. There's a whole world that's much larger than us, beyond our planet. So it's those things that give me that connective experience and really kind of lock in for me just the beauty, the compassion, the love. So much love in nature, so much love. And it's a place that's so restorative. It's like, how could you go wrong? You just want to, it calls you to come outside. It's why we take vacations. It's why we go travel. It's to see more of our world. And it just brings such a tremendous sense of gratitude. I feel that every time I go outdoors. I'm so grateful.
So, do you have any particular stories? And we didn't prep this, so maybe you do and maybe you don't. Do you have any particular stories that come to mind of really that one-on-one connection with nature?
I think it's something that probably, I don't have just one story, but I have an understanding. What you're asking for is, I think my connection with nature started when I was a child, and I think I've always had this strong connection with trees. Trees to me are like friends. There was a little tiny tree in my front yard. I grew up in a very big family, and sometimes it was really chaotic in the family. And as the youngest child, I would often sneak away outdoors, and that was where I would find some respite and some quiet. And I would always sit underneath this one little tree. It was a weeping maple tree, and it was beautiful. And it was tall, but really slender and bent over. And it felt like a friend to me. And it was from that point on, I think I still today, I feel like I have a strong connection with the minerals of the earth, with crystals, with the energy in rock formations and trees and plants. And those are the things that energetically I find that I connect with and I'm able to use in my healing practice. And when I can, I see clients outside. Why be in a stuffy office when we can be outdoors in all of the glory of creation and really find it that way. So I've got a lot of crazy stories about animal stories and odd things that have happened. My husband and I had to take care of a little baby possum last year that was abandoned by its mother, and we fed it with an eyedropper, and we raised it and then re-released it, and now it comes back every day and we see it on our porch. And but it's rewilded, it's gone, and it can find its own food. And so we both have an affinity for animals, especially, I think. And I just feel very protective of them, this immense level of gratitude and compassion for their existence. And yeah, we want to help that energy along. So for me, it's there's so many facets to it and so many other stories that I could tell. we don't have the time for that. So yeah.
Thank you. So I
Mhm.
I have noticed that there seems to be like a spiritual curriculum that we're each individually on.
Mhm.
And it's so fun to talk to different light workers and see when folks are in the same place that you are on the
Mhm.
spiritual curriculum.
Mhm.
Have you found in your lifetime that sense of a spiritual curriculum?
I have, and I think for me, it's been really listening to my intuition and following that thread, because that's where I find all these synchronistic things happen in my life. And if I'm open to it, I feel like it's also, messages I'm getting from the universe, messages I'm getting from my guides, from source. And if I follow those threads and trust them, and sometimes have to take that leap into the unknown a little bit, um, it, they turn out to be these tremendous opportunities. And it's almost like the old adage of saying yes to life. If we can say that and follow those threads that bring us joy, then it does become a curriculum of sorts. I feel like it's led me to people like you. It's led me to other light workers like Philllip and Jane Mountrose. I think it's led me to some of the most amazing clients I've ever been in contact with. People I've ever been in contact with as my clients. And in the events that I do, I'm never cease to be amazed that all these strangers come together. And then when they share about why they're there, there's always these beautiful common threads. We're all meant to be, in these places at these times. And so I think recognizing that there's so much magic in that, when you really think about it, how amazing that is. So for me, I think my curriculum has built upon following those synchronistic little threads that we find in life and just trusting the universe.
You talk to us about your guides and how you experience them. Can you see them, feel them, hear them? What's that like for you?
For me, it's not like I have a guide sitting right next to me and I can see them. For me, it's more of an inner sense of knowing, and I often have conversations with them. So I can visualize them often if I'm in meditation or that way, but for the most part, I am often channeling them through writing or through oracle cards or through an intuitive knowing. I know some people will do things like automatic writing, or they may do other like mediumship type work. I don't necessarily have that kind of connection. Mine's something that I feel like when I specifically ask to connect with them, that's when they often connect with me. But I get messages in many other ways, I think, through them. And again, through synchronistic things that happen to me. For example, the other day I was needing to go to a laundromat, and I had to put quarters in the machine, and the machine, the quarter thing wouldn't line up in the machine, and I had to kind of pound it with my hand, and out popped an angel coin. And I had never seen an angel coin before. So it's a guardian angel coin, one of those little gold coins. And evidently they were very popular back in like the 70s and 80s. And I didn't know what it was. And I went and looked it up online, and I thought, it's so interesting that that's the way my angel guides have been trying to get a message to me. And it sent me from one thing to another to another. And while I was online, I found something else that was synchronistic to something that had happened the day before. So there's all these beautiful things. And so I just trust it now. It's I think it's just all part of it, is trusting it. You never know how it's going to come. So mine comes in many different sources, and that's okay. That my what I do is piece that together, and then I'm able to figure out that message. So it's not dissimilar from like deciphering an oracle reading, with multiple cards or something. You really have to look for that inner meaning. But that was really obvious. It was a coin with an angel on it. And I thought, okay, okay, you're trying to give a message to me. I get it. And it was a time when I was feeling disconnected, from source. So I felt like in that moment, it was just a beautiful reminder, we're here and we're always around you. So yeah. Mm.
Are there any of the particular archangels that you feel close to?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I didn't really quite answer your question.
That's okay.
Um, I I do have a very strong connection with Archangel Metatron, and also with Archangel Jophiel. Those are two that are prominent in my life. When I'm dealing with something in particular that's very challenging, I find that Michael often comes in. And for me, it's extremely special because I lost my brother, Michael, in 2016. And he was a man that was born out of his era. He was Mr. Chivalry, and there was always something very protective about his energy. And so I often, when I think of Michael, I often find that Archangel Michael will come into the foreground. So I do work with them, and I also work with Ascended Masters. I have worked with different Ascended Masters also through my Reiki training. So I find that in particular, they are incredibly helpful, and are always just so immediately responsive to any of my problems, my earthly problems. But I also feel like I do have, over the last few years, developed more connection with galactic guides as well. And I have a couple of galactic guides that I do connect with when I'm in the Akashic records, that generally that's where I meet with them, that have helped me with various things and also helped me with some of my clients. And I feel like they're more teachers to me, instead of guides per se. Guides, but much more teaching, like I go there to learn things specifically. So it's been wonderful. And I feel like at times I do have animal guides as well. So I have a lifelong animal guide, which is Owl, and I connected very deeply with Owl. And so that changes as well. As most people who have animal guides, they do get different ones throughout their life, depending on what phase or stage of their life they're in and what help or assistance they need at that time. But they're all higher beings to me. And sometimes I work with dragons as well, as an enlightened being, dragon energy. So I think I've become a lot broader in my education. So I've become a lot broader in the needs that I have. And so I have a much wider range of helpers from the higher dimensions that assist me. So,
That makes total sense. So could you talk to us a little bit about the training you've had and then
Mhm.
how you put that to use in working one-on-one with clients?
Sure. So I think some of my original spiritual training really did come about 30 years ago. And that's when I was with a spiritual community that was very eclectic, but they had a wonderful ordination training program. And I was trained to become a priestess in that program, which is an elder in the church. And it basically is a way to help educate other people after you. So teaching has always been one of my favorite things. I adore teaching, and I love being with people in that kind of way. Um, I think I was probably kind of a know-it-all kid. So I think after a while, I just needed to put it to good use. Um, but I really had a lot of hands-on training through my spiritual community, because once you become a priest or priestess in this particular program, it's all about being in service to the community. So it was always giving back and then teaching the next generation, essentially, of clergy that were coming through. And so I learned so much just being in-person situations with those people over the years. I learned a lot about my own personal boundaries. And so that was a huge part of life education for me. But my formal training, beyond that and more in a classroom setting, I've learned at least 12 different modalities. I think I've lost count at this point, but I have about 12 different modalities that I've been certified in. And so I've gotten that from various teachers over the years. I also worked at a spiritual retreat center for about 24 years as the events manager. And I met so many interesting, very famous teachers over the years, and took some of their trainings. And so I've gotten a lot of in-person and online training from many different teachers. And so I've worked with women from Australia and England, and I've worked with people that travel through America teaching, and the Awakenings Institute with Philip and Jane. I've taken many courses from them. I've taken courses from an organization called Natural Healer. I've also taken training through various different online organizations, certification trainings through online organizations, crystal healing and chakra healing, and ancestral healing. And so I have there's a lot of different things that I've trained in. And I think for me, education is is one of the ways that I'm always growing. So I'm kind of like the perpetual student right now. I have like 3 other courses I'm signed up for, and I'm always learning something new. And I have a girlfriend that says, you need to just stop. She said, you need to just stop. And I said, I love it though. That's one of the things that really nourishes me, is to keep learning about all of those things that are up and coming and new. And if it's a new program, it's very interesting to me. And I just love to see how energy healing is changing with the times, and I love to see its popularity growing, and the success stories of people being spiritually coached, and these wonderful life transformations that they make. That's really what nourishes me too, in being a teacher. And one of the reasons why I wanted to take a lot of different training, really provide rounded services, well-rounded services to all of my clients. And since my clients are just as eclectic as I am, I wanted to make sure I was kind of covering all my bases, be able to offer them a real variety of services that they can engage in. So that's been really important to me, to keep doing that. And I just have this probably annoying but burning curiosity about the world around us, and about the unseen worlds as well, which I think is probably more of my focus now than when I was younger. So yeah, to me, it's all just an exciting journey. It's an exciting spiral journey, that we're on in this life. And I want to make the most of it.
Gretchen, if somebody wants to come to you for a one-on-one session, first of all, how do they find you? And second of all, what can they expect?
Sure. So they can find me on spiraljourney.net. That's one of my websites. And I also have another website that I do business as, called Empowered Priestess, and that's empoweredpriestess.com. And so on Spiral Journey, this is the site where I offer my energy healing services, all of my holistic services, sound healing, and some of my online programs, as well as spiritual coaching. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
What can they expect in a session?
Oh, right. Sorry. So that's what I like to offer. Is I like to offer about a 30-minute consultation that's free, just so that I can get to know my one-on-one client and really get to the core of what it is that they would like to accomplish in working with me. And so that's like a no obligation thing that I offer. It doesn't mean if we go through the 30-minute session or consultation and you don't want services with me, there's no obligation. I just like to be able to make sure that that we jive energetically, and that I can help you, if that's something that you want. And it gives me a way to explain some of my programs and some of my services. So usually what I end up doing, for example, I did an in-person Reiki session yesterday for a couple different sessions, and all of the different trainings that I've had, it kind of blend them together based on the needs of the client. So what people can expect is something that's very tailored to them. I want to make sure that people have a good experience, and that I'm not covering things that maybe they already know, or that I'm not explaining things clearly. So I want to make sure that the services they're getting are the ones that are really going to be the most beneficial for them, so that neither one of us is wasting our time. So it generally ends up being very, very tailored, very bespoke for the individual. And I find that my clients really like that, because it's not like a cookie cutter kind of processional through my office. It's something that's personalized to them, and that's what I really want to provide, is very personalized services, because we're all so unique. We're all so different.
So you're located in Virginia, but do you do online sessions as well?
I do. Yes, I do. So we can do one-on-one online sessions. Right now, my group events are all in person, just because it's spring and summer, and I think people want to be out and about and meeting other people. But I always offer online sessions, and I do work with people from all over the world. I work with people in England. I work with people in California. I work with people in Ohio. I've worked with people in New York, and so on and so on. So my reach is getting a little broader, and I feel like that's something that's really exciting, just to be able to work with people not only internationally but nationally, as I guess I'm getting better known. So that feels really good. And that's something that also nurtures me. So I love doing the sessions online. I want it to be convenient for people. I want it to be something they can be very comfortable with. Because I feel like when we're in that kind of home environment, that's, we can really heal. There's lots of things we can do that way too. So absolutely.
Thank you. Gretchen, is there anything else that you would like our viewers to know about you?
If anyone wants to connect with me, I love connecting. I'm somebody that I actually check my email. I know a lot of people that's not real popular now, but I also respond pretty quickly on Facebook as well. So if anybody has any questions about my services, anyone has any questions about my training or who I am, I'm happy to talk with people. I love connecting with people. I'm definitely a people person. And yeah, I look forward to meeting new people all the time.
Great. And I see our names aren't showing up on here, but it's Gretchen Comer. So we're so glad to have you here, Gretchen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and friends
Thank
here at
you
Enlightened World
so
Network,
much.
please go to YouTube, go to Enlightened World Network, and in the small search, type in Focus on Lightworkers, and you can see all of the other Lightworkers we've introduced here on EWN. So take good care. God bless. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Gretchen.